but right now, very pleased to have with us on the show, Molly Smith, member of Team Smith and Wesson. And Molly, thank you so much for coming on the program tonight.
Hello, no problem.
Listen, all right, so first of all, let's just get this out of the way. You are the youngest member of Team Smith and Wesson. You are 15, is that right?
Yes, that is right.
Wow. And how long have you been a member of Team Smith and Wesson?
Oh, I think it's been about 3 years now. I was either 11 or 12 when I first started with Smith & Wesson.
How old were you when you first started shooting, Molly?
I was around 10 and a half or 11. I started off just with 22 rifles, and then from there I started a little bit more serious shooting with 22 pistols and then my .38 revolver.
Good gravy. So within like a year, you're competing for Team Smith and Wesson?
Yeah, it was kind of a miracle.
I'm sure that you would love to give credit to the Almighty. However, I think there's probably something in there about dedication and practice and training. I mean, how much range time did you put in when you were first starting out?
Oh, a couple minutes. No.
Couple.
No, I had, well, at first it was more like a weekend thing with my family. But then after that, when I started getting more serious, it was probably every weekend at least, and then a couple weekdays. And then before competitions, I would try to get out there 4 days a week.
Wow. And is that still what your training schedule's like?
Yeah. Lately, it's kind of stalled out a little bit because of school. Certain extracurricular activities have gotten in the way there, but now in the past couple weeks, I've gotten right back to it.
And one of those extracurricular activities, mock trial. And this is fascinating to me. So you signed up for mock trial, and you had no idea that the case was going to involve a firearm.
No, I knew that it was going to be some sort of murder case because they tend to do that because it tends to be the most exciting for the attorneys. And I figured that I might want to try out and have some fun with it.
All right, and so what happened with this mock trial? The issue of concealed carry ends up playing a major role.
Yes, that was a pretrial motion. The defendant had 2 charges against her, one of which was a murder trial, and then the other was for a concealed carry. And they had me first as prosecution pretrial. So with that, I was arguing that the statute was totally constitutional and she had every right to have that charge against her. And that was what I was originally arguing. But 2 weeks before the first competition, I was switched to the defense. So then I was arguing that the statute was unconstitutional. And I found that came a lot easier for me because it was providing a more open ideal on the Second Amendment.
You know, that's fascinating. I mean, when you were supposed to be coming up with these anti-gun and anti-concealed carry arguments, did you find yourself, did you ever find an argument that worked for you?
Well, it's not really anti, it's just stricter, and I can understand that, but the problem with, I can understand it to a degree, but that's what D.C. versus Heller ruled, is that there's a degree of restriction that needs to remain, but it needs to be very finely tailored. That's what makes it a fundamental and individual right. It's like the First Amendment with free speech, where it has to be very finely tailored. That way it still remains an individual right and still in the best interest of the people. And the the majority of the discussion and argument about it was if it was within that scope. And it came easier as the defense because I believed that it was too narrow, giving the government too much discretion. And in this case, it was actually the sheriff's department who would decide who would get this permit or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, just out of curiosity, do you live in California, Molly?
I do.
Okay, so you're talking about you're talking about what the law is in California right now, basically.
Yes, I'm sorry, I should have clarified that.
No, that's fine. I mean, this is an issue, so you're basically tackling what is in essence a real-world issue. We've got the Peruta case going on in San Diego County, which is challenging the May issue system down there, and basically self-defense is not seen as a valid reason to possess a concealed carry license in San Diego County, and it's up to the discretion of the sheriff, as you say. And so it's funny that this argument is actually being fought in court right now as you were taking it on in a mock trial setting. So how did this work out for you, Molly?
Well, first, a side note, that's interesting because in the Peruta case, that's actually one of the cases mentioned for one of the cases that you would read about in pretrial.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was just that's really interesting. We had to read a bunch of different cases like that, and there was Peruta and, of course, Chicago versus McDonald and DC versus Heller, all those Supreme Court cases.
Which is funny because McDonald and Heller really didn't deal with firearms they didn't deal with firearms outside of the home at all. They dealt with firearm possession inside of the home.
Yes, but it was ruling on a broader spectrum of what is this right, the Second Amendment. It was in DC versus Heller, it ruled that it was an individual right, and in Chicago, it ruled that it was fundamental.
Absolutely.
And fundamental means it was like the right of free speech. So that was really interesting to read about that and be able to talk about that in a courtroom setting.
I love the fact that you are so knowledgeable about all of these legal issues at the ripe old age of 15. And so with your with this case here, when you got switched to the defense, you're now arguing in favor of basically a shall issue right to carry? Or you're basically arguing that your hypothetical client had a right to carry a firearm for self-defense?
Yes, that is exactly what I was arguing, that the no-issue statute, the no-issue is completely unconstitutional, and Heller ruled that there's not a lot of controversy there. Most people agree with that Heller ruled no-issue states are unconstitutional. But California is a may-issue state, and that means that anyone who applies for a permit, if they meet the requirements, they may get the permit, depending on if the sheriff's department or the board likes them or not. So regardless of the sheriff's department could decide, oh, I don't like that person for whatever reason, be it their gender, their race, or even how much power they have, they could deny them these permits. And Heller ruled that it was unconstitutional to do that, and that shall issue states are the most constitutional under that ruling.
So I'm curious, Molly, has the political and the legal and let's say the not the practical side, not the actually going out to the range and shooting side of the right to keep and bear arms, but the fight to secure and strengthen the right to keep and bear arms, has that always interested you since you've been shooting?
Since I've been shooting, for sure. I didn't know a lot about firearms at all outside what I heard on the news before I came up to the range for the first time. But once I was 11, I didn't really understand much beyond, I have a cute pink rifle. But as I got a little older, I realized that there was a little bit more to the sport than just pretty pink rifles and a shooting box with flowers on it.
Well, absolutely right, and I'm glad that you did realize that. So is this something that you're interested in pursuing right along with your competitive shooting career? Or do you want to continue to be an advocate for the right to keep and bear arms?
This probably isn't going to surprise you, but two of the main careers I would like to pursue are journalism or constitutional law.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, we need all of the pro-gun journalists in this country that we can get, and we not that we don't need pro-Second Amendment attorneys as well, but I can rattle off at least a few pro-Second Amendment attorneys, even in California. I'd be struggling, Molly, if I had to start naming pro-gun journalists out there. So I think either one would be really a wise career move for you. Now, as far as your competition goes, I know that you're busy with school right now, but do you have any events coming up?
I do, as a matter of fact. First, I have the regional I-Corps match, and that's action revolver. That's all the fun of opening doors and hitting moving targets and running and gunning and all that. And then after that match, I have the Bianchi Cup, which is a very popular but very difficult match. It's not so much difficult with moving, but it's very difficult with focusing, because it shouldn't be as difficult as it is hitting a target that's that close to you, but when you're put under the time limit, it is. And then I have a few other matches, but hopefully I get to go to Germany this October for the world match. I've been begging my parents to let me go.
Oh, wow.
Possibility.
Would this be your first international competition?
This will be my second. Last October, I went to Australia, actually, and that was a ton of fun.
That is so cool. So, Molly, if there are other teenagers out there who maybe shoot recreationally, maybe don't even shoot at all, what would you tell them if they're interested in getting into competitive shooting?
find someone who shoots and try to tag along with them. Make sure that they're safe. Wear eyes and ear protection at all times, please. And just remember the basic safety rules. Keep the gun pointed in the safe direction and keep your finger off the trigger.
Absolutely. Have you been able to? I mean, what do your classmates in school think about the fact that you're shooting for Team Smith and Wesson? Is that giving you a little extra cachet there at school?
Well, it's not something I can go around telling everyone, but my friends do know about it, and they're really supportive. I think a couple might be listening right now.
Yeah?
I hope so.
Well, yeah. I hope they are too. And you don't get like a Team Smith and Wesson letter jacket or anything to wear at school?
I know, but that'd be awesome. I wish.
We're gonna work on that for you, Molly. Hey, listen, I can't thank you enough for coming on the program. I know that you're extremely busy, but it was a real pleasure talking to you. And I know that we'll be out at the Bianchi Cup with our cameras there, so hopefully we can catch up with you in Missouri later on in the year.
Oh, awesome. I'd love that.
All right, Molly.
Great talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Hope we can do it again soon.
Yeah, have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Molly
Bye.
Smith joining us from Team Smith and Wesson.